In the heart of a small secluded town stood an ancient Victorian mansion known as Hollow House. The grand structure had withstood the test of time, its weathered facade telling stories of the past, tales that were both fascinating and unsettling. For decades, the old manor had remained abandoned, shrouded in local legends and ghost stories that kept even the bravest souls away. But one man, Richard Thornton, saw potential in the decaying beauty. He dreamed of restoring the mansion to its former glory and turning it into his dream home. Richard was a skilled contractor with a passion for old architecture. When he purchased Hollow House, the locals warned him of the rumored hauntings and strange occurrences that had driven away previous owners. But Richard was undeterred. He believed that the spirits of the past could be appeased with love and care. As renovations began, Richard encountered the expected challenges of an aged structure. Each creaking floorboard and peeling wallpaper told a story of its own, drawing him further into the mystery of the house. Yet it wasn't until one fateful day that the true nightmare began. While examining the basement, Richard noticed an uneven section of concrete floor. Curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to investigate further. Armed with a sledgehammer, he began breaking away the concrete to reveal an ominous dark hole beneath. The hole was large enough to swallow a grown man, and a chilling draft emanated from its depths. Richard's heart pounded in his chest as he peered into the abyss. It was as if the hole held an ancient secret, one that should have remained buried forever. Unable to resist the allure of discovery, Richard descended into the unknown. With a flashlight in hand, he carefully maneuvered down the ladder into the pitch-black void below. The air was heavy with a musty scent, and every step he took echoed ominously through the tight walls. As Richard ventured deeper, he noticed peculiar markings etched into the stone walls. Symbols he couldn't decipher, reminiscent of some occult rituals long forgotten. Fear began to gnaw at him, urging him to turn back, but his curiosity propelled him forward. After what seemed like an eternity, Richard reached the bottom of the pit. The beam of his flashlight fell upon an unsettling sight. An ancient chamber filled with dusty relics, long-forgotten furniture, and bizarre contraptions. It appeared to be some kind of ceremonial room, giving rise to a sense of malevolence that hung heavy in the air. Among the relics, Richard discovered a tattered journal, written in an archaic language he couldn't decipher. He felt an inexplicable connection to the book, as if an unseen force wanted him to unravel its secrets. Despite his unease, he tucked the journal into his bag and continued his exploration. As the days passed, Richard became consumed with deciphering the journal. The first portion of the journal is written in English, but the bulk of the book is filled with the same cryptic symbols that adorn the walls of the ceremonial room. To make matters worse, the book appears to contain no index or key to understanding or translating the cryptic symbols. He devoted every waking hour to unraveling its mysteries. Each page seemed to reveal more about the history of Hollow House and its dark past. The journal spoke of a malevolent presence that had been trapped beneath the house by an ancient order of occultists. This malevolence fed off fear and despair, and its power grew with each passing decade. The more Richard delved into the journal's contents, the more the ominous occurrences in the house intensified. Objects moved on their own, strange noises echoed through the halls at night, and Richard often caught glimpses of shadowy figures lurking just out of sight. Desperate to understand and combat the malevolent force, Richard sought out local historians and paranormal experts. They warned him that the entity could never be fully vanquished, and he risked unleashing something far worse by tampering with the ancient chamber. But Richard was determined. He believed that bringing the truth to light, he could free the trapped spirits and pacify the malevolent force. With newfound determination, he enlisted a team of archeologists and paranormal investigators to help him unravel the mansion's dark secrets. As they delved deeper into the basement, the haunting manifestations escalated. The spirits of the past grew restless, and the malevolence lurking below became palpable. Yet Richard pressed on, driven by a mix of obsession and compassion. One stormy night, during the peak of the investigation, Hollow House seemed to come alive. The mansion shook with rage, and malevolent whispers echoed throughout its walls. The team knew they had to act quickly before the situation spiraled out of control. As the team delved deeper into their research, they scoured every corner of Hollow House for clues that could help them decipher the cryptic text within the journal. One day, as Richard and the team combed through an old library tucked away on the mansion's upper floor, a huge bookcase along the wall began to shake, then came violently crashing down to the floor, just narrowly missing Richard. This was now getting real. The entity was actively trying to harm them. As the dust settled, they were shocked to see a hole in the wall that was covered up by the bookcase. Reaching very tentatively into the hole, Richard came out with a dusty notepad in his hand. Inside, the pages were covered with the same cryptic symbols and letters they found in the journal, except that it soon became evident that there was a translation line beneath the line of indistinguishable symbols and characters. They had found their Rosetta Stone that would allow them to unlock the secrets of the journal. With a renewed sense of hope, they painstakingly compared the symbols on the notepad to those in the journal, and piece by piece, like solving a puzzle, they began to unlock the long-lost language. The notepad proved to be the key that unlocked the secrets hidden within the journal's pages, revealing the rituals and methods necessary to confront and contain the malevolent force that had tormented the mansion for generations. The entity, in its efforts to destroy the team, inadvertently had given them the tool they needed to bring about its own demise. As they reached the ancient chamber, a chilling wind howled through the halls. The moment they stepped inside, the atmosphere grew suffocating, and the walls seemed to close in on them. The team performed a series of rituals in an attempt to communicate with the trapped spirits and appease the malevolent entity. But they had underestimated the strength of the malevolence. It lashed out violently, knocking over equipment and shattering lights. The air crackled with electricity, and the temperature plummeted to bone-chilling levels. In a desperate attempt to break the curse, Richard opened the journal and recited passages that described a different method, one involving the use of specific crystals and ancient relics to weaken the malevolent entity. As he followed the instructions, the mansion trembled, and the malevolence seemed to lose some of its power. The team worked together, placing the crystals in strategic locations around the chamber and performing rituals to draw out the malevolence's energy. Slowly, the shadows receded, and the temperature rose to a more bearable level. As they continued their efforts, they discovered a hidden compartment in the chamber's wall. Inside lay an ancient amulet with an intricate design, a powerful artifact that could supposedly contain the malevolent force. With the newfound knowledge from the journal and the amulet in their possession, the team devised a plan to confront the malevolence head-on. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, and a cold wind swept through the chamber. The very air seemed to vibrate as the malevolent entity materialized before them. It was a horrific creature, an amalgamation of despair and malevolence that had plagued Hollow House for generations. It hissed and howled, its voice echoing with the pain and anger of ages past. But this time there was something different in its demeanor. As its form twisted and contorted, its attention fixated on the amulet in Richard's hand. A sense of wariness emanated from the entity, as if it sensed the amulet's power and recognized it as a threat. The team exchanged glances, realizing they were onto something significant. With renewed determination, Richard stepped forward, holding the amulet high. "This ends now," he declared, his voice steady despite the trepidation that gripped his heart. The entity's form withered. It seemed to hesitate, its malevolence aura wavering. Richard recounted the words from the journal, his voice resonating with a newfound authority. He explained that the amulet contained the entity's power, the very source of its existence. The entity's swirling mass grew turbulent, almost as if it were struggling to maintain its form. The team rejoined their voices in a chant, their words woven with ancient power and unwavering resolve. As they continued, the amulet's light intensified, its energy pulsing in rhythm with their incantations. The malevolent entity let out a deafening roar, but its defiance was futile against the combined efforts of the team and the amulet's power. With a final surge of energy, Richard focused his will on the amulet. The artifact cracked and shattered, its light erupting in a blinding explosion. The shockwave rippled throughout the chamber, disintegrating the malevolent entity's form. The darkness dissipated, leaving behind only echoes of its anguished screams. As the dust settled, the team realized that the room had transformed. And then, as if emerging from a long slumber, translucent figures materialized throughout the chamber, ethereal, flickering souls. The team watched in awe as the spirits of those who had been trapped by the malevolent entity appeared before them. They were the souls of people who had suffered and perished in the chamber centuries ago, their stories lost to time. They gazed at the team with gratitude, their eyes filled with a quiet recognition. With a final, gentle breeze, the spirits began to fade, their presence growing fainter until they were but wisps of light. The chamber, once a place of darkness and suffering, was now bathed in a warm, comforting glow. The team stood in silence, their hearts heavy with a mixture of emotions, relief, awe, and the bittersweet understanding that their journey had come to an end. Hollow House, once plagued by the malevolent entity, had been transformed into a place of healing and closure. The mansion's halls were no longer haunted by the tormented souls. Instead, they resonated with a newfound sense of peace. Hollow House now stood as a beacon of hope, a place where darkness had been vanquished, and where the echoes of the past whispered tales of redemption and triumph. There's only one thing that's even scarier than that story. That would be not watching another video like this one.